Heat detectors are commonly used to replace smoke detectors when we cannot use smoke detectors in an area because of environmental factors. Let's take 2 minutes to learn more about heat detectors and some of the factors that may make a change to the spacing of those devices. So, with heat detectors, if you have ceilings that are greater than 10 feet, you're going to need to make an adjustment to the spacing of your device. If you have beams or joists and you're using heat detectors, you will need to make an adjustment to the spacing of the device. Slope ceilings, you're gonna need to make an adjustment to the spacing of the device, as well as do things a little bit different. Let's talk about it. Before we talk about it though, here are two different heat detectors. One that is mounted at 10 feet high and one that is mounted at 20 feet high. Which of these two devices is going to go in alarm first? Obviously, the one that's closer to the heat source. The further away that you get from that heat source, the longer it takes for activation, which is exactly why we have to make an adjustment to the spacing of our heat detectors if we have a ceiling that is greater than 10 feet. Now, ceiling heights greater than 10 feet are going to have an effect on your spacing. You're going to need to make an adjustment to them. NFPA 72, Table 176351 tells us how to do that adjustment. On the table, what you're going to do is identify what your ceiling height is. It has to be larger than the number on the left, up to and including the number in the middle. From there, on the right-hand side, it tells us what our adjustment factor is. So let's say that we had an 18-foot high ceiling, and our spacing was initially 50 feet. We would go to the table, we would identify ceiling heights greater than 16 up to and including 18 feet. Our multiplier is now 0.71. We take our original 50-foot spacing, multiply it by 0.71. Our new spacing is 35.5 feet. Beams and joists, they project down from the ceiling and they prevent the flow of heat across that ceiling. If we have beams and joists, we have to make an adjustment to the spacing of the device. Depending on which we have, beams or joists, that adjustment is not the same thing. When we have a slope ceiling, we have to have a row within 3 feet of the high side of that ceiling. But with your heat detectors, you also have to figure out what the slope is. Depending on if that slope is 30 degrees or more, we can utilize either the average height of the slope to figure out what the ceiling height is or height at the peak. From there, we would plug that information in for our heat detectors using the table that we already discussed.